Hello, welcome to the One I Have Spare Time podcast. My name is Frank, and I'll be sitting here talking to you for a few minutes. As usual, I'm wearing clothes. I'm wearing a crappy, crappy, uh, like sweater I got from Old Navy. But anyway, so our favorite stripper, LOLcow, has a video, and I think we should blind react to it. Let's see what she has to say. How to let go of a man you loved. Now, this is coming from a stripper, which means her background is horrible. So, do you think she's had any healthy relationships? Do you think she should be giving relationship advice? Let's see.
This is my fourth time trying to film this, and something has been going wrong. Either my phone won't work, my camera will die. So I'm gonna do my best. I think the reason it hasn't been working.
Well, this is your fourth time. I think that's the fates trying to tell you that you probably shouldn't be giving this advice. But anyway.
Is because God wanted me to talk about a different
Oh,
topic.
Lord.
So I'll talk about that. It's very personal. I had a dream last night.
So does God want you to be a stripper? I like when people just pick and choose when to be religious. But anyway.
And it was about this guy that I at one time had such strong feelings for. And this was a little over 2 years ago. I was never involved with him like that, because it was like I was an RA, and then he played a sport and lived in the building that I was an RA for. If you don't know what an RA for is, it's a resident assistant. So I lived on a floor with 40 students, 80 students. No, 40 students. I think I had 20 on my side. I can't remember, but basically.
She's doing that stripper math. Watching her trying to think is amazing. It really is. It really is. So she's gonna talk about a guy, like how to let go of the guy you loved, but she's talking about a guy that she didn't date. It's already starting out great.
Basically, I took care of a floor, watched over the whole building. It was a lot. We had to deal with police, had to deal with paramedics. It was a lot. But we had a bunch of different athletics in our building, and then he was on one of the athletic teams. And I would always run into him, and I think I was in that building for a year and a half. So I think I only knew him for a year, though, and it was like he just coincidentally happened to see me at all of my worst moments.
So like every other moment. I'm just saying, like, if you're a stripper, I mean, you're living a worse moment. You know, like when people say stuff, it's relative based on what the person's, what the person's life is. So once again, if you're a stripper, your worst moments are all the time. Anyway.
I remember when I moved out of my Tampa house, I have two older sisters. They both have autism. My parents moved them to a home in another state.
So she has two older sisters with autism. Do you know how rare that is? This sounds like the modern day TikTok self-evaluation. Everyone has multiple personalities. Everyone's depressed. Everyone has bipolar disorder. Everyone's in therapy. Everyone's on some kind of medication. That's what this sounds like. It sounds like she had woke parents. or bad parents. Well, both.
Um, and I had to like move all my stuff out. I was supposed to graduate in 2.5 years, but I was delayed by a semester because of that whole shit. I had to like go move all my childhood stuff out of my own house. I failed a class that semester, and then I ended up staying an extra semester. So nothing ever happened with him because I didn't want anything short term. He was seeing somebody too at the time, but it was so weird. Like he would like watch me, and he always kept track of what I was doing, and then it was just, I don't know. It was weird. It wasn't weird. It was
It sounds like she's just making stuff up. If this is supposedly a guy you're in love with, wouldn't you remember it? It's or she's trying to omit stuff she doesn't want to say. But this isn't the whole story. Anyway, continue.
God, I'm having a tough time explaining this, but basically, I would see this man every day. I was singing in Orlando. This is where I was at. And I was going downtown in Orlando. And he had seen me downtown. Like, he knew what I was doing. He knew about all the music shit. He would see me leave in my long evening gowns to go sing, because I did that at least twice a week. Like, I did it a lot. And it was like every single worst moment I ever had, he was just coincidentally there. I remember the first night I started at a strip club, and it was terrible. It was one of the most traumatic things I've ever experienced. And like, now I would be fine and I would forget about it the next day if something like that had happened to me again. But that first night, it changed me so much. And I remember like being on the elevator with him before it happened, and we were talking about it because I was on my way there. God, I started at this really shitty strip club too in Orlando.
That's the eyes of a soulless human being. That long stare. Every second of every day is PTSD. She was at the front lines on the battlefield, aka strip club. Something traumatic happened. A man, instead of putting a dollar bill in her G string, put a quarter. And the quarter was cold and it touched her skin. Man, look at those eyes. Soulless.
Orlando. It had gotten shot up like a week before. I didn't know until I got there. Um, but I never went back there. I think I was there 2 days. The day I like checked it out, and then the day I started working there, and I never went back. It was actually funny too. I had a friend I knew from college who was one of the security people at that strip club. Yeah, I like went there and it was like, you're here? The fuck? We used to spend all that time in the dorm room together. That's crazy. Um, yeah, but let me go back to this man. So this guy, like, he was constantly stalking all my shit, constantly checking up on me because I worked in the office on like the bottom floor, and then I don't want to go into detail.
You really haven't gone into anything. I mean, doesn't this chick, supposedly she's 24 or whatever, look like she's 44? And no man of value wants to date a stripper. So this sounds like it's a very one-sided love story. Like he was there at all my worst moments, all that bullshit. Like, I think she was always looking at him or stalking him because a guy, he's in college, he's on one of the sports teams. He's not stalking you, okay? Because like you were a couple years younger. So you probably looked the same because you were stripping already. So you probably had less tattoos. You're probably a little skinnier. He wasn't stalking you. But continue. Continue making stuff up, please.
I don't. It's just weird. It's weird having somebody like you, but then they're possessive over you, but then they like also don't put enough effort in, but they put in enough effort to where you're like. Because I remember too, there was this one day where I had somebody over, and it was right before I was about to leave. It was like a month before I was about to leave, and um,
That means
that guy and I,
someone
we
to
were walking
bang.
out of my dorm room together, and then we ran into him, and he just acted so weird, and apparently they knew each other, and it just was. Anyway, that's not the point. But the point is, I
So she slept with one of the guy's friends. He's definitely not into you. It just sounds like because the school was small, I mean, or the living situation was all cramped, so you saw him every day. That's what it sounds like. I don't think this guy was in love with you, especially if you slept with his friend. He doesn't want any part of that. He doesn't want to be with a girl who's a stripper and sleeps with his friends. She's crazy.
I held on to that man and his memory for so long because I left Florida. I went to Texas. It was like the worst time in my life. I was back in um, my toxic family situation that I had worked so hard to leave, and like when you're gone for 3 years, you just think, oh, it's like gotten better, like everything will be.
See? And I told you the family was bad. That's the first time, at least, that I've noticed in our videos talking about LOLcows. She actually said the family was bad. But you're a stripper, so we already know the family situation is bad, okay?
Be fine. And no, but I held on to that man, and I thought like I held on to this hope that one day I would go back to Florida and that I would be with him. And I know it sounds stupid, but when you're going through like the worst of the worst, and all you can think of is the success that you would have, and then there's this one person who understands all the shit you went through to get there. That one person who like watched everything, who saw all the stories, who
This is all in her head. She's crazy. She hasn't said anything to make us think that her and this guy were even an item. I okay.
saw you coming back, who saw you leaving, who like that.
The voices in her head.
It's a hard thing to let go of. And today I looked him up because I had the dream. I looked him up.
So you're stalking him, obviously. You're stalking him online now. What? I got one thing to say. Whammon.
I graduated from college a year early, and I left. I left my family to go to college, ended up getting back with my family. Then I left to be in Austin, and then I left again to be in Atlanta to chase my dreams.
I'm being a
And it has
stripper.
been horrible sacrifice. Like there have been so many times where I should not be here, you know? Like it was so difficult. And then I look him up and he's still there. And I'm 3 months older than he is. And
Who cares?
he's still there. And it's like, because I can remember him talking about wanting to transfer. I can remember him trying to get drafted like a year before I left. And that was part of what drew me to him because I thought like he was so motivated. I thought he was going to have all of this success. I thought like, oh, like I'm going to eventually make it as a singer one day. And he's like going to do the same with the athletic stuff. And then I looked him up and he's like trying to transfer now. And it's going to be like his 5th year. And this isn't to talk crap about him, but it's to remind myself. I put so much hope into this person. I put so much value into this person. And it's like, it's
Okay, so she thought this guy was going to be a professional athlete. So she, in her mind, built this fantasy about this guy. Okay? Because everything she said, there is no relationship with this guy. She slept with one of the guy's friends, but there is no relationship with him and this guy. But in her mind, because she thought the guy was going to be a professional athlete, she had this fantasy in her head that this is going to be the guy because women like money. If you remember, in her past video, she just talked about how much she likes men for their money. She's a stripper. I mean, she's telling you what she's really about, but in some crazy convoluted way. Don't be fooled.
not even on him. I mean, it is kind of on him because why the fuck would you act like you care if you really don't? But the point is, after all of this, after these 2 years of going through the shit that I have gone through to get to this point where I am stable, love my life, and I'm in a position where I'm able to continue pursuing my dreams, to get to this point, and then to look back at this person that I thought had it all, who's still in the same place that I was in for an extra 2 years. Like, I looked up to you, but in reality, I'm so much stronger than you could ever be.
She is delusional. Now I don't know this guy, but we're talking fifth year. So is this could be football, this could be like baseball. If his dream is to be a professional athlete, you're gonna stay as long as you can in the college program because that's your best place to get attention from pro scouts. So it's not that, she left school to be a stripper. He stayed in school to pursue his dream of becoming a professional athlete. I think he's stronger than you. I mean, if you really had to compare these two people when it came to life, I'd rather be the guy who's in college for a fifth year because his dream is to be a professional athlete than be the stripper who graduated college supposedly but is stripping. I don't know. Call me crazy.
And that's what I realized. It's really hard because it's, oh God, I woke up to that memory of me being in the elevator with him, and then he was kind of congratulating me on the stripping thing, and I turned to him and I was like, "Do you think I want to be doing this?" And then to now where I love it so much, and it came from such a dark place, and that was a shitty club, and I'm at a beautiful one now. Like, there is a pretty stark difference, but it's just like, that is where I started. Like, you were the epitome of the person I thought I could end up with.
You had no chance to be with this guy. If this guy is, an athlete on a college team, he can get any girl he wants on campus, probably. Okay? Once again, he's not going to settle for a girl that's already been with one of his friends and is a current stripper. You would date a girl who's whatever, an English major, who's better looking than you and has a better background, doesn't have a crappy family. Come on, wake up, people.
Yeah, it's just, that's how you get over someone. You
What?
realize,
What?
I mean, not to use career success as it, but that's how I look at it. To get over someone, you realize how far you have come versus them in the time period that you have had. You look at the character.
Are you retarded? Do not take advice from this person. This is literally worse than the last video she did. This is horrible advice. This is... God. Okay, who would you rather be? Let's just pretend he's a baseball player. Okay, would you rather be a man enrolled in college your fifth year and you're on the baseball team and your goal in life is to become a professional baseball player and it's your fifth year in college? Or would you rather be a stripper who graduated college? She did 2 years in college, and for the past 2 years, she's been a stripper, and she's moved to 3 different states. Who would you rather be? I'd rather be the guy where it's his fifth year in college trying to be a professional athlete than be the girl who's a stripper. And then she's comparing the two, saying, I'm so much more successful than him. But like, no one in their right mind would rather be a stripper than a fifth year college student on a sports team. This girl is mental, and this sounds like cope. She's just saying what she needs to say to make herself feel better, and to make herself feel like, I'm doing better. But you get what I'm saying.
And the drive. That's how you get over somebody. That's my story. That's all I have to say. Bye.
You didn't say anything. What? Anyway, I hope you enjoy this car wreck. Guys, I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Peace.